All right. Are we live?
We're live.
Outstanding. You got your mic? Yeah, you got your mic.
Oh, yeah.
I need to bring you. I have another one of these mics at my house. I need to bring it to you. Just so,
yeah, you do.
Just so we're, the same across the board.
And I need to have a sound guy like this, man. That's got to be so nice.
Well, I'll tell you what, Keith. It takes years and years, man, before you get to where you got your own tech guy.
Jeez. Yeah.
And they're expensive too. Tech guys are really expensive.
I've been working for a long time to get me a tack dog here, and I ran across him. I had everything squared away. I just didn't have anybody to do the work.
Yeah, man. No, that's nice. Like it would help so much just seeing that switchboard right there, man. You switching the cameras.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really, if you're gonna film a podcast, you have to have somebody that's just dedicated to running all that equipment.
It's hard.
Like the viewers. What's up, YouTube? What's up, by the way, YouTube? What's happening, man? What is it? A Tuesday?
Yeah,
Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Is anybody on YouTube?
Yeah, we got about 75 or so.
Dang, that's pretty good for a Tuesday at 11 o'clock. I'm always astounded at how many people tune in to our YouTube lives in the middle of the day, man.
Well,
it's like,
don't these people have a job? Or?
What the heck, YouTube? What are y'all doing, man?
Or if you ever get if you just want to go run a quick errand in town and it's like 11:30 in the morning, but you get in there and the traffic's just crazy. You're like, man, what? Ain't these people supposed to be at work? And
I have thought that many times.
But at the same time, they're probably thinking the same thing about me.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth, son?
So, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, so podcasting. By the way, YouTube, we got a special guest for you here today. Our brother Keith.
What's up, man? I appreciate you.
Thank you for coming, man. Thank you for coming. Yeah, we're about to be podcasting neighbors. Did you know that?
Blake just told me, like, man, y'all could have just texted me. Y'all would have to get me in person to tell me that. Like, was y'all just afraid you were afraid I was going to respond or react? So y'all just like y'all planned it. Hey, let's tell them in person.
Kind of lower the intimidation factor,
Gotcha.
It's the perfect place to build a podcast studio, though, man. In my opinion. I mean, I don't know what your experience has been since you've been in there, but like it seems like just a super chill, super quiet.
Yeah,
the perfect size space to kind of build it out.
It's perfect, man. It was a blessing for me because like that. He didn't have any spaces available when I first looked into it. Like we were trying to do it out of our home, and I was telling him we would get 10 minutes into recording, the dog would start barking like crazy at the UPS guy, so much so to where we would have to stop.
Yeah.
Next episode, the cat would jump up on the table and like hit the wrong button, make all the microphones go crazy. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, I just put the feelers out in the universe. I was like, please God, just help us, give us some direction here. So I had text Jeff Bennett a couple of months prior to that, and he's like, man, I'm sorry, man, we don't have any spaces available, but I'll let you know if something changes. Well, after about that second episode, he shot me a text, said, hey, I just had a whole company move out of a whole building, like some kind of a medical company.
Huh.
So that created like 10 spaces. And it's so much so to where him and his dad are like into construction.
Yeah.
So they can configure rooms and move walls around to how you want it. So I had that option too, to kind of cater and design my room space. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It was cool, man. So
Keith, man, what got you into podcasting? It's always interesting for me to hear. I don't know that we've ever told our story about what got us into podcasting, but I mean, just kick that mic stand. It's a big endeavor, dude.
It is.
There's a steep learning curve, especially if you were like me and you don't know anything about recording equipment, microphones, cameras. You don't know anything about sound, how to upload audio files, how to, where you're going to host it online. Like the learning curve is really, really steep. It's like anything else though. The only way to learn it is just to jump into it and get after it. But I mean, I think the learning curve is a big part of what stops people from creating a podcast. It's like, for me, if you've got something to say, or you have strong opinions, or you have some sort of skill set that you want to share, why would you not have a podcast? Like, it's unbelievable that we have this available. The ability to do this is available to us. If you think, 20 years ago, the only people who could broadcast something like this would be, the few people who had this radio thing set up with freaking antennas and all this stuff, right? It's like now anybody can do this. And I know a lot of people try it. Not a lot of people stick with it, but a lot of people don't ever even try it. And I think it's because of the learning curve. So why did you get into podcasting?
Well, it's just to reach more people and give more value to, because just like you guys have stuff the world needs to hear. And I felt like in the health and wellness space and in the direction America is heading with their just overall health, we wanted to reach more people, outside of our community. If it's just somebody writing back saying, "Hey man, because I've listened to your show, I'm now off my blood pressure medication." That's a win. So that was the reason we got into it. But yes, I didn't realize the mountain that I was about to have to climb as far as the learning aspect. You talk about School of Hard Knocks, man, which looking back, I don't regret learning any of it the hard way because it's been the best way. But it's been a mountain to climb, man. Like, I first started off just on my phone and just getting people on like the phone, trying to hit record. And trust me, that's a good place to start, but the quality wasn't there. The quality wasn't where I wanted it to be. So we invested in the soundboard and then learned how to use it. And then we wanted to bring in the visual. So cameras and, for me, it's been a lot of wasted money on adapters and certain things. So it's been very, very challenging, but we're almost a year in. So we made a promise to ourselves before we got started. Hey, because I knew me, I knew how I'm wired. If once I'm invested in something, I want to stick to it and stay committed to it. So we have dropped an episode every Monday morning. We just dropped 43. So we're about to hit our 1 year anniversary.
Wow, man.
So
one a week for a year.
Yeah, one a week for a year, and we don't plan on letting up. And we, like you guys, I know some weeks you got just one episode in the bank, and then some weeks you might have 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That's the perfect world if you can have 3 or 4 in the bank lined up to drop. But I know you guys go live, so I don't know how that works.
Yeah, for us, we rarely keep any episodes in the bank. Like, we're just Wednesday is our podcasting day where we sit down and that's what now. Every now and then, like this week, we're recording on Tuesday, so we won't have to sit down tomorrow and do a podcast. We're going to film a bunch of YouTube videos tomorrow, but yeah, man, it is. And like you said, I think the key to podcasting, which is really the key to anything, is consistency, man. Yeah. And that's, once you do get over the learning curve, and like you said, you do, it costs a lot of money. You waste a lot of money in the beginning. Me and Blake started our podcast with a little USB Yeti microphone.
So cheap that you had to buy 3 of them to get one to work.
Yeah, and the first episode we actually went to sit down and record. We sat down with the individual, Paul Wilder, as a matter of fact, and we used to not have a studio, so we had to go to Paul's house. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got a room down here in the basement we can sit in, and we hooked this microphone up. The dang microphone doesn't even work. It won't even, it just doesn't work. It's not picking up any sound." So then we're like, well, we drove all the way over here. Now we not only wasted our time, but we wasted his time, and we look like idiots. So these are the stupid things that you have to go through to start anything. It's just part of the process, right? And then the consistency part, the hard part about being consistent, especially with a podcast, is the podcast, as a form of content, is a long-term thing.
Yeah.
So, you can get much faster response, or you can build a following much faster on YouTube, on Instagram, on any of these other platforms. It's been my experience that you experience that gratification or the reward. You're rewarded for the work you're putting in much quicker.
Yep.
But for a podcast, for some reason, it is a very slow growing form of content. And I think that is because it mostly grows by word of mouth. I think that's why it grows so slow. And so for us, we've been podcasting now for what, like 3 years?
That was going to be my question to you.
Yeah,
How long have you been?
No, about 4 years now.
About 4 years.
That was the first thing we started.
We've got 300 and some odd episodes. And
wow.
And in the beginning, when we first started, it was just so ridiculous. It's like, I'm trying to figure all this stuff out. You know, I'm taking the time to sit down and do these, the time out of your day to sit down and do these episodes.
And there's no reward, instant gratification.
Yeah, and you put it up and it's like 3 people listen to it, you know? And there was a time actually where I almost quit our podcast.
During deer season, wasn't it?
Yes, I almost quit the 3 of 7 podcast. And this would have been probably close to a year in, all right? And I'm thinking everything else had done well. The Instagram was growing, everything, you know, we had interaction in all these other places. And I thought, I remember telling my wife, it was deer season, like Blake said. I was honed in on hunting. And I was like, I'm not recording a freaking podcast, man. And my wife was like, no, like,
you've done came this far.
Yeah. And she's like, even if you only have 20 people that listen to your podcast, like you've made a commitment to those 20 people, you know?
Yeah.
And so I went and recorded and we kept it going. And literally too, the interesting thing is you'll see, again, it's such a great measure of like how everything else works. With the podcast, it'll grow, it'll hit a peak, and then it'll just kind of taper off for sometimes for months and months and months. And you're like, man, this thing, why isn't this growing anymore? Like, as a matter of fact, there's actually less people listening than there was, you know, a month ago. What the heck? And then, but always, if you will just stay with it, it will start to go up again for some reason. And then when it peaks the next time, it'll be a little higher than the previous time it peaked.
Yeah.
You know, there'll be a few hundred more. And it just does. If you looked at the trajectory of like the analytics of the 3 of 7 podcast, it's just waves, man, waves. But every wave has been a little higher than the other. And the coolest thing is that the people who listen to your podcast are the most important people, in my opinion, because it's like, it's more of a relational type thing. That's what I love about, you know, the people who listen to the podcast versus the people who just watch a truck talk episode on YouTube that's 5 minutes or see something that I post on Instagram. The people who listen to the podcast, like they actually have a feel
they know
for what we're all about. You know what I mean? And we're connected. And that's the coolest thing, because when I've run into hundreds of people over the last few years, and whether it's at a race or at an event, a training mission that we do here at 3 of 7 Project, and I run into these people and they're podcast listeners, and they're like, dude, I feel like me and you have, like, we've been buddies for the last 3 years. And I'm like, that was the goal. That's the goal of the podcast. And that's what makes it unique from any other form of content.
Yeah, when you got people coming up to you like at the gym saying that was such a cool story about when you were a kid. You know, they know you. They know you better than just surface level. Like, cause like what you just said, a lot of your short form content on Instagram, it's just surface level stuff. You know, more for quick views. But the podcast, if they're a loyal listener, they know some layers to you.
Yes. Yeah, and they've seen you go through like you're, at least me anyways, like my highs, my lows, my times in my life where I'm distracted by crazy things or the times that I'm on track. And it's just awesome that it all gets to come through on a platform like this. So What actually inspired you to go with the podcast though? Like, did you have a show that you really liked, or were you a podcast listener? Or
I just got into listening to podcasts probably 2-3 years ago. Of course, your buddy Andy Frisella.
Yep.
What's his called?
Real AF.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Was listening to him and my buddy Bradley dropping bombs and of course Ed Milet stuff. Nick Bear.
Nick Bear. Yep.
And just I knew how much value I had got out of those episodes.
100%, man.
And I was, at a point where I was wanting to kind of level up in my business or businesses and reach more people, because I felt like, I've lived in the same town my whole life, and I feel like from a local standpoint, I made a pretty good little footprint, but there's a lot of people, like I said earlier, outside of Floyd County that I think that need help. Need to hear what we got to say.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? I'm not a social media person. I'm kind of an introvert. Don't have a crazy personality, and I've always been super quiet and shy. So just for me to even start putting my face on camera was a big deal. So I'm still not super comfortable with it. I mean, I remember going to an event in Salt Lake City, Utah last year where Rob Bailey called me out. He's like, what's the one fear keeping you from taking the next step in your business? And I said, man, just putting too much pressure on myself on what I look like and what people will think I sound like,
Oh yeah. I remember
country hick from Rome, Georgia, and just all the comments going to be flooding in. And finally, I just got tired of that ultimately being the wall, the fear. I just came right back, got in my little broom closet of an office at the smoothie shop and just put my cell phone up on the table and hit record and posted my first video of me just talking about, I think something was on my heart about how modern luxuries have made us soft, like DoorDash and Instacart, and how it's nice to use those things, but don't just become this just lazy piece of crap and never just be active and wash your own car, for goodness sake, everything's just a push button now. Posted that video and man, it got some good views and people said they liked it. It gave me a little bit of a confidence boost. So I posted another one and then I just kept kind of putting little check marks in the boxes. All right, overcome that fear. What's another angle I can attack this? And podcast was on my heart. So,
yeah, dude, it's really cool that you brought that up, because you're earlier in your journey in terms of this cameras and all this than I've been doing this now for a few more years. But I remember exactly the feeling that you're describing.
Yeah.
Like, I remember going, I think it was actually in Salt Lake City, the first podcast that I was invited to be a part of that was being filmed. And I remember the dang camera, they had this camera on some sort of boom, and the camera was constantly moving. And I don't know if it was to capture like all the different angles. It was a really highly produced show. And I just remember like how uncomfortable that was. And same as you, man, like even just how you sound, like I don't like the way I sound on a microphone. I can't listen to my own podcast that I, record with other people or that we record here.
I was about to ask you, do you even listen to your...
I can't, dude. It's something about my own voice drives me, drives me nuts. I don't know what it is. It's just weird. But like overcoming those things, that's a huge step, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only way that you overcome those things is just to freaking just do it over and over and over and over.
It's been the year, the last 10 months has been the year of just super uncomfortableness, man. Like, crazy, like to the point to where some days I just don't know if I can take it. Like, is it worth it? And then I'll sleep, get some good night's sleep, and wake up the next day feeling a little bit more hopeful. And yeah, you're right. When you're putting in this much mental physical and spiritual and financial energy into something, and you look up at your algorithms and you see you only got like, 100 loyal listeners. It's like, is this really worth it?
Yeah.
But it just goes back to commitments I made to myself, in the beginning, that we were going to keep dropping an episode every week, no matter what. And there's been times where we had guests, bail on us last minute, and my girlfriend, she's kind of my co-host, and she couldn't make it. I didn't know what to really talk about. I literally had to just slot myself in the podcast, dude, just to give some content for the listeners because they're expecting it. And I made a promise to myself. I had to kind of sit there for a minute and think about something to speak on by myself.
Yep.
Just to put something out. And I would get 10 minutes into it and be like, man, this is bull. And I would hit stop. I'd have to go for a walk or a run.
Come on, dude.
Collect myself.
Dude, come on, man. What? But dude, I love this. I don't know if this is just like giving you guys who watch this stuff a little behind the scenes of what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
To do what we do on YouTube, on podcasts. So I thank you for saying that. Okay, because this is behind the scenes. So I have people all the time that, the people who aren't in the arena, the people who aren't in the fight, the people who are the freaking armchair quarterbacks of internet land.
The critics.
The critics. I have people all, so you think your life is so hard, making a podcast or making a YouTube video. Like, they don't understand the mental energy that it takes to, first of all, be thoughtful enough in your day-to-day life to pay attention to like the things that are impacting you, the things recalling lessons that you've learned, recalling all these things and just paying attention to your day-to-day so that you actually even have something to share. All right. Paying attention to those things and then trying to figure out how you're going to articulate those things to people. And then executing it to the standard that you want it to be at. It is absolutely exhausting, man. Literally, this morning, I just recorded 2 Truck Talk episodes, okay? Now, sometimes when you go and you do stuff like a podcast or you do stuff like a YouTube video or whatever, sometimes you're on, dude.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can sit down, that there will be a day that I can sit down and I can crank out 5, 6, 7 episodes of Truck Talk back to back to back, and they're just on, man. But like this morning, I drove my little truck down back in the woods. I'm giving y'all some behind the scenes stuff here. All right. Drove my little truck back in the woods. First of all, there's pressure because there's no Truck Talk in the queue to release today. There has to be a Truck Talk in the queue to release today.
Right.
It's not there. So I have to create that. I have a short window of time this morning because I had to spend time with my wife, read my Bible, eat breakfast, and I had to be here at 11 o'clock.
Get the egg out of your beard.
Well, yeah, that didn't work out for me. So I have a short window of time. Something has to be done. I pulled a truck back in the woods. I'm recording these Truck Talks, man, and this morning was one of those mornings, like you said, you get started into it, and you're just like, this ain't it. No. This ain't really how I feel. Press stop, delete, restart.
You feel like it was forced, like you're just saying something just to have something to say, to have content, versus it needs to come from a different angle of meaning, and you eventually find it.
Yep.
You just got to hang in there.
That's it, man. And that was this morning for me.
Yep.
For me this morning to record 2 5-minute clips.
Probably took you 45 minutes.
It took me an hour.
An hour, yeah.
To record 2 5-minute clips. Now that doesn't always happen.
No.
But like, I'm putting this stuff out there to you guys, and I feel a sense of responsibility in that.
Yep.
So if I say something that isn't truly, if I say it in a way that isn't truly representative of my thoughts or my heart or my passion on the topic, I'm going to restart it.
Yeah.
And dude, that's mentally freaking exhausting.
It is, man. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that goes through that, because like you said, it don't happen every week, but some weeks, man, it's like that. And gosh, grace of God, we hang in there and make it happen somehow, brother.
Well, like, it's really cool that you also said that when you have those days where you just can't, you're just not flowing, man. It's like, if you will just stay with it, like you said, you got to get out, take a walk, go. You got to reset, man.
Yep.
As soon as you let the frustration creep in, like, it's over. You ain't going to come back from it. You have to say, no, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah. It was about a 2-hour window of just trying a few, not feeling it, hitting stop, and then going for like a 20-minute walk, and then coming back, then doing the real 45-minute episode. It took me like 2 hours.
Yep.
Just to get that done on a Sunday afternoon, knowing that our audience is expecting something by 5 a.m. the next morning, every Monday.
Yep. So there's that other layer of pressure for sure. And then knowing all the while that you're doing this because you're passionate about it. It's not going to make you any money.
No.
I mean, it might years down the road.
Yeah.
But right now,
well,
there's no financial reward. It's not like if I get this episode out, I'm going to make $10,000 off of this episode, you know?
Well, and that's what gets me about some of and I love them to death, but some of my more techie friends that have been considering starting a podcast for years, they'll message me from time to time and asking me, how much are you monetizing now off?
People ask me that all the time. Yeah.
What is all these techie questions that I probably should know. But I always tell them, and I was telling Blake earlier that I'm getting to a point where maybe I should look into doing a little bit more advertising, even if it's just me sharing it on my personal Facebook, just simple stuff like that. I've just been hitting record and just giving value, not really expecting anything in return. That's the key in the beginning. Yeah. And I knew that. And that's why I don't get too caught up in the numbers and the views right now. But like you said, you can't help but look every now and then, cause it's on your phone. And, I always tell them the same thing. The guys ask these questions. I'm like, look, man, I'm just trying to give value right now. Value. One day, if it makes me a few dollars or create some opportunities, that's awesome. But that's not why I'm doing this. I'm not doing it for the money.
Yep. You got to come at it with that type of heart. And I think you got to come at anything.
Yeah.
Any project, any business, anything that you want to do with your life, if you come at it from the angle right off the bat of saying, I'm doing this in order to make money right off the bat, you might make some money, but it's not going to become a lasting thing.
Nope.
Like, that is just the way it works. If you are going to come at something, you got to come at it from the angle of, man, I want to provide value for free to people. And I'm going to do that as long as it takes. And one day, if it becomes how I make my living, that would be amazing.
Yes,
but
sir.
If not, no big deal.
Yep.
So there's y'all some behind the scenes conversation of what it's actually like. And look, I'm not looking for sympathy here. I freaking love what I do. There's nothing else that I would rather do than what we do here at 3 at 7 Project. I'm not looking for your sympathy. I just think it's good to give you guys some perspective on what it's freaking like. And I think
it takes to keep it glued together.
Yeah,
man.
And I think you guys can take away from this and say, well, you know what? I'm kind of feeling those kind of same struggles on days that I'm off, and whatever my profession is, whatever it is I'm doing. days it just doesn't click. I'm not feeling it. It doesn't come naturally. And dude, everybody feels that, man.
Yeah.
Everybody feels that.
Sure.
That's just the way it works. I want to talk to you about something you mentioned earlier that you talked about on you said on your first episode that you recorded. I've been kicking this around in my mind, dude, for quite a while. And the question is, does success make you soft? Does success make you soft? And I think it's a conversation. I don't think it's because when initially, I want to say yes, initially.
Financial success or
yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. I mean, yes, success in terms of you have achieved some things in your life and you've reached a point to where, you're pretty much good to go. You got everything that you need. Your basic needs are all met. You even got a little extra. Does that make you soft? I mean, what's your thought on that before we dig into this?
Everybody's got so many different definitions of what success means.
Yeah.
And what money means. Like for me, I've never been a materialistic person. Like I like the simpler ways. I touched on some of those earlier. That's how I grew up, just simple times. And but at the same time, I see what opportunities money can bring. Mm-hmm. So how do you find a happy medium? Money can make things easier. Money can create opportunities. Money can help other people. But as far as what was the initial question you asked me?
Well, and this is a question I asked myself. Does success make you soft? Because the reason this question came up in my mind is because, I'm looking at myself at this point in my journey.
Yep.
I have reached what I would call success for my life. All right. And so I'm asking myself, now that I'm in this place, man, that I literally have there. If you ask me right now, what's one thing that you want, material thing, or what's one thing that you would change about your life? There's nothing. I mean, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that's the point I'm at in my life. So I'm reflecting. I've been reflecting on myself. It's like this place that I'm in right now. Is it changing me? Is it making me soft? Am I not really as hungry as I used to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to assess myself by way of asking myself this question. And I'm trying to work it out in my mind.
Yeah, I guess you could take inventory somehow of yourself. I compare stuff and maybe I would have done it back then if they had been more prominent, because Rome is getting pretty known for their car washes, right? We got one in every corner.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
So it's the car wash wars. So I often beat myself up sometimes for running my truck through a car wash. I'm like, man, I used to detail cars too when I was 17, so I kind of got burnt out with it. So, but why am I not whipping out a bucket and some brushes, washing my own car in my own driveway? Not only would it be some exercise, but it would put me out in nature, put on some good music like that. Just sitting right here talking about it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But yet success or having the funds or the just disposable income has allowed me to just zip through a car wash, and let a machine do it for me.
Yeah.
But
these are these changes that this is exactly the type of stuff that I'm talking about.
Well, I think a lot of this will come from we put more on ourselves than we can handle. So then, when you do that, you should start to make a little bit of money, and then you start having to use your money as a resource to buy you time, basically. So instead of now you can afford a car wash, you don't have to wash your own car. So you say, oh, dang, that was nice. oh, also I don't have to go down to Chick-fil-A or whatever to get my food. I'm just going to buy DoorDash, and then it starts this chain of events. And then, like anything, you're not just all of a sudden this fat, lazy slob that's paying for convenience throughout all life. You're doing that a little bit at a time,
Yeah.
and then at the end you're like, holy smokes, I'm not doing anything, because now I'm satisfied in life. I feel like I've reached this spot where I can kind of, just put it in cruise control and let it roll on. I've got money. I don't need anything. So
And
I'm
you're
fine.
right. You said something, buying time, and I do look at that value too, because you're right. Not sitting here saying I won't ever wash my own vehicle again, but in the hour that it would take to wash my car, let's say, versus going through a car wash, I'm zipped back right over to the smoothie shop, working on some other back end stuff that helps keep that glued together to feed 12 families, 12 people that I'm responsible for keeping food on their table.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you can look at it
That's
so many different ways.
That's a good point. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing with that extra time that you have because you can now afford convenience?
Right. Yeah. It'd be different if I was like paying somebody to wash my car and then just like sitting
Scrolling
on the couch
on
all day.
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah. Like not contributing to society. Like, yeah, I could see where that would not be good.
Something I do a lot of times, and I didn't really realize I do it until we're talking about this, but like if I'm going to buy something or pay for some service, I think like, all right, if I just did this myself, because in reality, I can figure out how to do anything that I want to do. I think.
Well, YouTube, yeah.
And
yeah.
and so I say, all right, if I did this myself, about how much time would it take me? And I figure that up, and I think, all right, how much is say 2 hours of my time worth? And if it's worth me doing it, then I do it. But if I'm like, oh man, no, I could make either more money or have a bigger impact over here with those 2 hours instead of tying up my time with this, then I won't, then I won't do it. But then sometimes I do the wrong thing. Like I just remodeled the bathroom at our new house because I didn't want to deal with dang contractors. They're just, but anyway, so I was like, well, I'll just do it myself. But it took me like 3 days to do it. And I could have done a lot of stuff with those 3 days, but so sometimes I get out of line with it, but that's a lot of times how I'll value my time. I'll say, all right, how much time is this going to take, and is it worth that to me, or could I have a bigger impact or make more money over here?
And plus, there's a sense of like accomplishment too. Like a lot of times, I'm faced with that same choice. Like, do I hire somebody to come in and rip this carpet up and put down some LVP in like 8 hours because that crew can do that, or do I never really done it before? Do I get on YouTube and try to do it and hope that it looks good? And, there's no huge gaps in the corners, and like, am I going to be proud of it? But at the same time, a lot of times when you do take that leap of faith and do it, you do a good job, you kind of prove to yourself that you can do it, and you get some like more confidence.
Yeah.
I remember one time, I'm not a mechanic, but the thought of replacing a serpentine belt blew my mind. Like I had one break on an old Dodge Cummins, and normally I would have just carried it to my mechanic because I was like, man, I got on YouTube, and there's like, you got to loop it through this way and go around this pulley, and you got to have a torque bar to take the pressure off. And I was like, this is crazy. Like I was just getting overwhelmed watching it. And he couldn't get to it for like a week. I was like, well, I'm going to try to do it myself. So got out there and had my iPad up on the thing, and I'd hit pause and then do that step.
Yep.
Play it, hit pause. And man, in like less than 3 minutes, I had that thing replaced.
Yeah.
So I'm all about doing stuff in yourself and for that aspect, because it was a lot of times I think people don't realize they're capable of doing more than what they can do.
For sure.
Now, so you're running multiple businesses now. I'm just looking up Spartan Smoothie. You've got the Hydrate in town.
Well, let me say this.
Co-owner.
So I've known Keith for a little while just from going in Spartan Smoothie, and we've talked, spent time. But what I've always thought was cool about you, Keith, is that like you just take these steps you just start these business, like, you know, you told me about your car washing business. And I know you had the stump grinding business, and then you're talking about the sauna cold plunge, the podcast, Spartan Smoothie, Wide Dry, and you got all of these things that you've either started and sold or going simultaneously. And I think, well, I've seen people try to do that before, but they all fall apart. And you've been consistent with, like, your podcast, man. The video and audio quality is probably better than what we've got. And so I just say, like, all the things you do, they're all up to a really high standard, and you're consistent with it. And so that was, I mean, I just think that that's unique about you. It's admirable that you're able to do that. So I just preface what you're about, you know, all the stuff he's doing. That was initially really what drew me to Keith and made him different.
I agree. I agree. Like, you walk into Spartan Smoothies, it's a good experience, and it's a good product.
Yeah. And
it's set up good. It's branded well. It's ran professionally, which is a unique experience when nowadays, right? Yeah. So I'm bringing this back to the conversation that we're having, and the fact that you have these established businesses within our community. You have, you are a presence in our community. Everyone knows you, more so than everyone knows me and Blake. Like, you're very well known. You're established. You have multiple employees. You have successful businesses in town, and you're at that place in your life. And going back to this conversation, does success make you soft? I think the soft part to me, for me personally, doesn't come down to, has success made me necessarily lazy to where I'm avoiding manual labor type tasks.
Right.
It more for me revolves around, am I, like, checking myself, like, am I still freaking hungry, man? Like, have in your journey, now that you've reached this place where you have stood up these brands and businesses, and you these things are stood up, they're running, they're functioning. Like, are you still hungry? And how do you, if you are, how have you stayed hungry to keep going?
I think that's a double-edged sword, because that's kind of been in like a, I'm not even sure of the word, man. Like, I think sometimes I have a problem, because, like, sometimes I just want to be a little bit more normal. I'm the black sheep of the family. Didn't do well in school. I tried to quit school. I wanted to be out working. Like I said, I had a car detailing business at 16, 17 years old. I'd leave and go and wash cars at doctor's offices and make more money than the teachers were making just in a few hours detailing cars. I already knew basic math. I thought it was a waste of time to learn about Abraham's wooden teeth. So I just want to be out working. And but no, I mean, it's an obsession. Whether it's toxic or not, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I stay hungry. That's not a problem for me. Sometimes I think I need to tone it down a notch, come back to earth. That's my problem. I have to constantly keep it in check. Here's all this hunger. Here's all this success. All right. Well, what about your relationships? You know, what about your family? Mm-hmm. You know, are you keeping all that balanced? So it's a constant tug of war with me personally, my inner tug of war and demons that I have to fight daily and weekly. Yes, I'm hungry for business. Yes, I want to pour into my businesses and make them successful. And what's the next big thing or whatever, next idea? But hey, what about my grandmother I hadn't called her in a week?
Yeah.
You know, what about my mom I hadn't did breakfast with? Why not shoot my sisters a text and say, hey, how you doing? How's your shop doing? So it's stuff like that I'm constantly beating myself up about. And my girlfriend, she says I'm too hard on myself because she thinks that I put this pressure on myself to be this brother of the year and uncle of the year and son of the year and boss of the year person. So it's a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, that's a good point, because I think, like, I very much so relate to this. Because I feel like I feel the same as you just described. Like, I'm still hungry too. Yeah. To the point that, like, this year I've done harder things this year in terms of my own physical fitness journey and endeavors than I've ever done in the past. I ran a freaking 250-mile race. I did a 370-mile bike ride across the state of Georgia. Like, in terms of work, we've worked harder this year at 307 Project than any other year. Yeah. And so my actions, I think, prove that, yes, I'm still hungry. So I went through that assessment in my own life when I asked myself this question, like, do my actions show that I'm still hungry, that I'm still desiring to push, that I'm still desiring to grow? And when I asked myself that question and I reflected back upon what we have accomplished this year, both professionally and personally, the answer is yes. Okay. Now I can, okay, I'm good. I don't ever want to become complacent, which I think when that's another side trail on this. I think success breeds complacency, and the complacency is what actually makes you soft, or makes you to where you no longer have the desire to continuously grow. Now, a lot of people would say that desire to continuously push, to continuously grow, to continuously reinvent yourself or create or push your boundaries, a lot of people do look at that as extremely destructive. And I think the reason people look at that as extremely destructive is because it's the totally opposite. It's the opposite of what they think they would do if they were in your shoes.
Right.
And it's the opposite of what most people do when if you look on their life, you look at people talk about Navy SEAL training, buds. That can be a curse, right? Because here's what the large majority, 98% of guys that make it through SEAL training, they put that achievement on a pedestal, and they think, I'll never do anything greater than that. And so many of them, they never reemerge after their career in the Navy's over to do anything magnificent or extremely difficult ever again.
All their eggs are in that one basket.
Yeah. It's like when you do experience this success or this high achievement, like, it gives you an excuse to just rest on your laurels because of that thing. It breeds complacency. But that's not the way I tick, man.
No, and you brought it up in one of your podcasts, last 3 or 4. Your exact words were, you feel like, I think it was Nick Bears, you feel like you've accomplished more post-military than what you did in military.
Yeah,
for sure. And not to disrespect what the military gave you, but just from a personal standpoint, you feel like you've accomplished more.
I do, 100%. I do. Yeah. I have more fulfillment. I've experienced more pain. Definitely made more money. All of those things. Yeah, it just can. Yeah. But people are like, I know. I mean, I know people in general, especially in this place where we live, or people, and I even mean family members. I mean, they look at you and they're like, what the crap's wrong with you? Like, why are you running a 250-mile race? That's stupid. Like, didn't you just run a 100-mile race? Like,
or why are you walking away from a career with a 401k to go grind stumps?
Yeah,
man, the lash back I got from the family on that one, just all the doubt.
Yeah, man.
For a lot of my craziness.
Yeah. So people look at it as like, just because it's so counter, I don't know if it's cultural or counter human nature. Yeah,
man. Like I said, I've never been
this concept of retirement.
Yeah,
Our society is inundated with this concept of retirement.
My grandma asked me, I don't know, maybe a couple months back, she said, well, Blake, are you putting money back for retirement? And I said, no, Granny, I'm not. I said, I'm basically retired right now. I said, if I was, quote unquote, retired, I wouldn't be doing anything differently than I'm doing now. I'm fulfilling my purpose. I'm fulfilled in what I think I'm doing, what I should be doing. And no, I'm not putting money back for retirement.
No.
What is this thing?
And my dad, bless his heart, we talk every day. We talk mostly business stuff. And he's that old school generation, which, how he grew up, and this is just how he was raised, just pinch your pennies. If you can do it yourself, do it, regardless of how much time. Mm-hmm. He definitely puts more value on the dollar than he does his time. Mm-hmm. He's 65. He busted his butt for the man for 40 years just so he could just now at 65 retire. And, he's got the picture perfect 401k and all that stuff. But yeah, he tends to kind of push that on me a lot, and he'll bring it up from time to time. And he knows I got different beliefs. And same thing, man. It's I've never done anything normal, with anything in my life. I've always been the black sheep of the family. Didn't go to really college. I didn't get married young. I don't watch a lot of sports. I'm not grilling out and watching football games, yelling at TVs every weekend. Jeez. And it's just I'm just different, man.
Yeah, I don't the whole I don't understand how the idea of working your entire life at a job that does not fulfill you for the sake of the potential opportunity to retire. I don't understand how that became such a deep-rooted concept.
Well, you know what happens when 90% of people retire? They die. About 6 months into it.
6 months in.
They quit doing anything. They sit at home. They get depressed and they die.
Yeah.
Well, boy, work 40 years so you can spend 6 months depressed and die. That don't sound like
I think though, like this whole idea of retirement, I think the perspective on it is beginning to shift, at least for a small percentage of people who are, I think we're starting to kind of see through that whole ideal as being something that's legitimate.
Now
go ahead.
No, you said something a while ago, and I've dissected this same topic many times. If a person is working a job they truly hate, I have a problem with that. But I have personally met people inside the smoothie shop. Even when I was out stump grinding, met some of the most joyful, thankful, happy people that work factory jobs.
Yeah.
But they are just, their mind's not even there. Like when they're there working, they're doing a great job running that machine. But they may not have their AirPods in, listen to preaching. They're just joyful. They get home and spend time with their family. That's different. Now, if you're truly a person that you're just miserable at what you're doing, that's a problem. You need to try to find a way to get out. Yeah. So I think it takes every person to make this world run. We need factory workers. We need people to work a 9 to 5. But if you're hating it, that's where I see a problem with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Miles Monroe said one time that America trains people up to be employed and not deployed, and I thought, man, that's pretty good because
no, I agree
that's what
the school system does a terrible job. Like I think definitely if you talk to any teacher right now, most males graduate and don't even know how to change a spare tire or check a battery or jump a car off or check oil
or manage their checkbook,
financials. Like I agree with that we could branch off on a whole nother episode on that. But, but yeah, it's definitely twisted.
Yeah.
And I think the root of this is starting something like going down a path simply to achieve some end result in the distant future is a bad path to go down. Like whatever it is that you're doing, ultimately you should be able to picture yourself doing it until the day that you freaking die.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Or doing it for free, you know?
Yeah.
Because essentially that's what it takes for a while. I mean, I know the smoothie shop, you know, I didn't pay myself one penny for the first 2 years after taking over that spot. Because I wasn't the one that bring it to Rome. I took over ownership. I was just a loyal customer. Mm-hmm. Caught him on a bad day. His ice machine went out, and somebody called in sick, and he's like, I'd give this place away. Somebody made me a decent offer on it. I was like, oh really? I'll call you later. Anyway, long story short, took it over. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of times where I joked around with the employees saying, you guys make more money than I make, and they did.
Yep.
The first 2 years, but I truly loved it. I love what I was doing. I love building and creating and helping people. You know.
Yeah, 100%. And that you're right. That has to happen. You're going to have to do it for free.
Yeah.
For a long, long time. I did the same thing.
Yeah, I think the key with everything we've talked about here is like, I just keep thinking of the word relentless. Like you just have to constantly be pushing the boundaries of in your spiritual life, you know, body, soul, and spirit. Everything that we do, you have to always be pushing the boundaries. And that's why people say, oh, what are you doing this for, Chad? You dummy, what are you running this long race for? And, you know, just breaking your body down. But, you know, maybe it is breaking the body down a little bit, but it's building other things. You know, it's building your soul and your spirit. I mean, for me, it does. And so, you know, you do things relentlessly at a rate that you could sustain them all your life. And there should never be a point. I don't ever want to get to a point where I say I'm retired, like where you can just kick back, because I mean, at that point you might as well be dead. I think that's probably why you die so soon, because you basically are dead.
Yeah.
When you just sit around and do nothing, you have no purpose, no mission, you're dead.
And you're right. It's like in all angles too. Like I feel like a lot of times I'll forget, hey, it's been a minute since you challenged yourself physically, you know, and that's when I'll go visit, what's his name, Hamza.
Oh yeah,
over there on a Sunday, and he'll put me through a workout. And boy, he did.
Oh
he did
yeah,
a few weeks ago. I couldn't. It was one of those couldn't sit on the toilet for a couple of days. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me, like, okay, I can still do some stuff that I didn't think was possible physically, even though I'm bumping 40. So, and same thing with running. You know, I've never considered myself a runner, but I know why you guys do it, because that's got to be just running's just one of those things where it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're talking about putting in miles, man. I mean,
that's the beauty of running. Yeah, is the fact that it is so simple, but it is so freaking hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to bring it back though to what you said earlier of being conscious though of the gift that we have in terms of the mindset that we have to that we don't lose that hunger. We don't lose that desire to grow and to expand and to do the things that we do. But that also, it being a great gift, can become extremely destructive, because what you described earlier. So my work, I tell my wife all the time, my work is my life. Like there are no hours. Like I might be sitting in front of my laptop doing something at 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
Like there is no lunch break. There are no hours. There are no weekends. There are no holidays.
No.
My work is my life, because my work is my mission.
Yeah.
And you enjoy it. You know?
Yeah. And I enjoy it. But I see the same thing that you just called out a little bit ago. Because my work is my life, there will be long periods of time that go by that I don't think about relationships. I don't think about calling someone. I don't think about doing something, setting aside that time for my wife and doing something nice I'm just being straight up with you guys. So it can become extremely destructive. So how do you stay aware of that, man?
I literally, man, this is crazy. that you bring this up. It got so tangled in my mind, and I was just I was getting tired of the mental fatigue of the tug of war. I was playing the guilt. I was like, I got to find some way to organize this and have a visual. So I literally got on like Microsoft Word and just titled it Keith's Thinking Log. And I just got different categories. Okay, Spartan, Hydrate, fitness, family, personal goals. And I literally, that's what I do. That's kind of my journaling. So I just, as it's fresh on my mind, hey, it's been a minute since I called my grandmother. I'll write that down and just make sure I execute that, within the week or the next few days, scratch it out. So I kind of keep it all. That's just my way of kind of journaling and keeping it more where it makes sense in my mind.
So you got intentional.
Yes.
You got intentional about you say, I hate to call it balance because it's never going to be balanced I agree. Because of your nature.
I agree. Anybody that's created any kind of success or empire, whatever you want to call it, you ask them how balanced their life was. Do you think Elon Musk's life's balanced? Do you think Steve Jobs' life was balanced? Do you think, keep naming them, do you think their life's balanced?
No.
So, but at the same time, I don't want to be a freaking just person that, and my mom she and my sisters would never think that I don't care, but I think it's more pressure I put on myself to try to be a better brother.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't try, you're going to swing real hard one way. So the goal is like in everything, and something you're training for, or any area, is to be on that, to walk that pinnacle, that knife's razor's edge. But it's so fine, you're gonna slide off a little bit on one side or the other. But if you don't care, you'll wind up at the bottom of the blade on just getting stuff done, and everything else will be.
And I know you can relate to this because I'm at the smoothie shop a lot, and it's like on Fridays. How many people come in and say, TGIF, thank God it's Friday. I'm like, what does that even mean to me?
Yeah.
Like, it's just another day. Or Monday comes around, it's Monday. I'm like, but that's your mainstream working in a cubicle, hate their job, people that live for the weekend, the Georgia Bulldogs and beer, freedom for a couple of days.
Yep. Yeah, I think that the fact that you even feel like you feel that pressure, and you could even call it tension. You feel that tension within yourself of like, man, this is the way I'm wired, and I really love going hard, in this direction of growth and in this direction of physical fitness, in this direction of business. But you just naturally feel this tension of like, all right, I understand this about myself, but I also have to, I know that this other part of life, which is an important part of life, which is your relationships and your community and your friendships and things like, I know those things are suffering. I think the fact that you are even able to naturally feel that is just a testament to the type of person that you are.
That's what my girlfriend reminds me of. She is just the fact that you even have that awareness.
Yes.
Is huge. So you need to give yourself some credit there.
Yes. The real problem occurs when you no longer have that awareness.
Right.
Right? That would be like, that would relate to what the Bible calls a reprobate mind. Like if you do reach the point where you just go all the way into this side of you that's so driven in the directions that you're going, that you no longer feel any tension, that is when you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's where you're in big trouble, man.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. This is a great conversation. It's just I think it's I asked this question to one, assess myself and where I'm at, and I asked this question also in order to contradict a lot of what is portrayed in the social media space. because so much of what is portrayed is just this simple message of like, stay hard, stay hungry. Like but it's so much more complex than that, man.
It is.
It's a conversation. It's not just that. It's so much more complex than that. And I think too that a lot of people will, some people will even like hamstring themselves or be embarrassed of success that they have achieved. Maybe they won't take any like gratitude, or they won't celebrate any success that they have achieved because they're afraid that it's going to make them freaking get soft, man. Because for a lot of people, we have this example of them achieving success, them becoming complacent, and then just becoming a fat, lazy turd and not doing anything else. And a lot of people are afraid of that. So it's like, but no, you don't have to be afraid of achieving things. You don't have to be afraid of celebrating the fact that you freaking ran your first 100-mile race. You ran your first 200-mile race. You made your first $1 million. You celebrate that freaking crap, man. Show it to people, man. Like that's why I want to be open as I progress in my journey. I want to be open with the blessings that I have, the things that I have, the achievements that I'm proud of. I want to be open with those. Like, I don't want to hide them from people, because the reason I want to be open with that is so that hopefully some freaking 18-year-old kid out there is like, dang, man.
Yeah.
Look at where Chad, I look up to Chad. Maybe you look up to Chad. Look at where Chad's at. There ain't nothing special about this freaking dude, man. Like, I got everything Chad has, which that's true. If you're listening to this, you got everything. I don't have any special smartness or there's nothing special about me. But I want to show these things so that somebody might say, heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Freaking work hard. If I stay hungry, if I just keep going, I can have those things too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, man.
I mean, that's why I'm so open about. When I say, a lot of times when I say things like, I have everything in life that I could possibly, I actually have more in my life than I could have ever imagined having. If you would have asked me 20 years ago, if you'd have said, tell me exactly what you want.
Yeah. And
I would have described it to you. Now I have more beyond what I could even perceive. And like, that's not to be boastful. That's to freaking show you, man. If you will just keep going, like, your imagination cannot even conceptualize what is potentially available for you in this life.
Most of that is not in material things, would you say?
No.
Because I think a lot of people hear that and they think like, oh, Chad's talking about he's got the place he wants to live, the vehicle, and some of those things you do have, but that's not like what you're getting at. It's
across the board.
Where you're at mentally, physically, relationally, all of those things. That's what makes you happy, because I think people could look and say, oh, I want what Chad has, and so I'm going to do the things he did so that I can get those things.
Right.
And well, that's not going to work out for you, because you're not meant to be Chad. Chad's meant to be Chad. Keith's meant to be Keith, and Blake's meant to be Blake, and you are meant to be you. And so, the principles apply, but it's going to get you a different place than it's gotten everybody else in the world.
Right.
But you can have that, I guess maybe you would say satisfaction, but not content or complacent, but satisfaction with confidence with who you are, with what you have and your abilities. Now, I just want people to understand that.
Now, you could have made things a lot more complicated. You could have went in debt up to your eyeballs on a huge house and a boat and RVs and financed the 4-wheelers and
Oh yeah.
brand new trucks, but you didn't. My question to you is that how you were raised? Why didn't you? Because a lot of people do when they first start getting that taste of success.
Mm-hmm.
Why not get the $600,000 house? Why not finance the RV?
Because
so we can spend family time together.
That's a totally easy answer for me, because my focus has always been mission. It's always been mission focused. It's never been thing focused. Definitely. I could go out right now and buy pretty much anything I wanted to buy.
Yeah.
But I don't do it, and I haven't done it because all I'm interested in really materially is my basic needs. And then my focus is just mission focused always. And the interesting thing about that is if you can maintain that mission focus on what it is you're actually doing and making yourself and making the things that you're doing the best that they can possibly be.
Yeah.
All the material stuff just becomes just this ancillary part of it. You know, it's just there.
Yeah, and that's like I said earlier in the episode, I've never been hung up on material things, but I am striving for a place in my life where I'm doing what I love on a daily. It's not work, but stuff financially is just getting taken care of. You know, It's like, you know, the house payment's getting taken care of. I don't really know what's coming out. That's peace. I love that feeling. Like, no, I'm not going and buying a Ferrari. I'm not buying a boat, but all my necessities. If I want to buy, $300 on a random Thursday, I can. It's not going to set me back. You don't have to really worry about it. I ain't got to worry about pinching some pennies one month to pay the power bill or the gas bill. Stuff like that. Just peace, knowing that here's my playground. As long as I'm playing in it, everything's getting taken care of, and I'm doing what I love.
Yeah. And that's interesting how you kind of talk about that, because Chow was talking about does success create softness, and then you kind of start to think that success, especially if it's financial, can also detract from your relationship with God, because then you depend on Him. You think that, all right, I have this money and I'm taking care of these bills and I'm taking care of this, and I don't, there's your dependency lessens on God for meeting your needs. And so, like what you're talking about, you can really have that. In my opinion, someone might argue with me, but in my opinion, you could have that before you actually have the means to do it. Because if you are living a life just based off of having what you need with no extra, God tells us that He will meet that need. And if you have the faith to believe that, then you can live that peaceful financial life like you're talking about without actually having the money. And I truly believe that, and I live my life that way. And so it was just interesting that you brought that up, financially, and I think that kind of relates to the success and complacency.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. And if you can't tell, this is a topic that I've been thinking on for like the last couple of weeks, really. And I wanted to fit this into a truck talk, but I was like, no, this ain't a truck talk. Like, this ain't a 5-minute thing.
Right.
And for me, Blake, that aspect comes with, I think it ties into my whole philosophy as living like in your mind, like living in your mind as if you really don't have or own or possess anything, right? All these things are just like resources and tools that further the mission. That's why I look at everything just as a little tool or a little resource to further the mission. And whether that's making me better for the mission or whether it's actually making or empowering the mission, tangibly, it's like they both play hand in hand, and that's the way I look at all the material things.
Yeah.
Now, how you get into that mindset, I have no idea how to tell you to do that. But yeah, I don't know. I've thought about that aspect of it too.
What is your mission, Chad? Like what is your? And I'm kind of just randomly asking you that, but like I've known Blake. I watch you guys from a distance, but I still don't know if I know and understand all the moving parts to what you do and you're about.
Yeah, I think my personal mission would be to inspire people, both physically, mentally, and spiritually, through intentional activity, right? Like intentional, purposeful things that I'm doing in my life, and portraying those things or speaking those things or articulating those things to hopefully inspire everyone who listens, watches, hears, views, and whatever.
It does inspire, because when you go for what did you just run 100 miles?
I just ran a 100-mile race in September. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that, I just know, and maybe the everyday person don't, but I know that's a little more involved than just physical with that. There's some major spiritual stuff going on.
Yeah.
To accomplish a 100-mile race.
And for me, the whole purpose of wanting to inspire people it's all for the sake of hope. So when I say the word inspire, what I mean is to provide hope for people.
I like that word.
Inspire them to have something to hope for, something more to hope for.
Well, yeah, because you're like me. You see so many people just in their life where they're just stagnant and stuck, and there's no hope.
Yep.
Depending on who they're hanging around or what they're watching. I see guys all the time coming in the shop in their 30s that's just beat down. You know, in a terrible marriage. They're drinking every night. They're 100 pounds overweight, and they're just so used to feeling like crap. They think that's normal. I'm like,
there's no way out of it.
I just want to shake them a bit, like, dude, you can thrive. It don't have to stay this way.
Yep. Yeah. So when I wrote out my mission statement, and I thought about like, what is the one thing that bothers me the most about what I see in my family, in my community, in the world? What is the one thing that keeps me up at night? It is the hopelessness of so many people. So many people are in a place physically that they feel there's no way out. They're on their blood pressure medicine. They're on their diabetes medicine. They're freaking fat. They can't move. They can't.
18th Rona shot.
Yeah, exactly, man. And it's like they think there's no way out of that. Okay? Same mentally. They're depressed. They're insecure. They feel like maybe they feel like they're dumb, or they don't have anything to offer, or whatever. Like and there's no hope for them out of that situation mentally. And the same spiritually.
Yeah.
They don't understand the Bible. They don't understand Christ. They don't understand this faith thing that they see us have, and they don't think there's any way out of that. And they're freaking hopeless. I mean, that's where the ultimate hopelessness resides, is in the lack of faith, because we all know we're dying soon. So for me, yeah, like when I wrote my mission statement, that when I say inspire others, it's that to me means is to spark some hope for someone, that no matter what the crap, where I'm at physically, where I'm at mentally, where I'm at spiritually, there is hope for something better, but it's going to require some action on my behalf.
Yeah. And that's why I'm so passionate about using the vehicle of fitness and nutrition to give people hope. You know, I bring up one guy comes to my mind. I'd circle back with him every like 6 months. He'd be in the same spot, just crying about the same things. You know, he's trying to lose weight, and he's still in a bad relationship. He got let go of his job, and he can't afford it right now to hire me. And I'd circle back with him a year later. Same old blues. man, I think this went on for like a decade, bro. And finally, I just, I grew up in a house where you didn't want to hurt people's feelings. And finally, I just called him out. I was like, I just was real stern with him in the inbox and just said, look, man, wherever you go, there you are. Like, I think if you don't you think if you just kind of, we focused on you, that would might affect all the other areas in your life, like because he's trying to like put out fires everywhere else, but then not the internal himself. So
Yep.
it resonated with him, and he put it on a credit card and did 3 months with me, and he's down like 60 pounds, and it's spilling over into other areas of his life. You can see that, he's become a little bit more efficient employee because he's now lighter on his feet. He's got more confidence. His marriage is getting better. So that's why I'm real big on the vehicle of fitness, because it's one thing you can't buy it. Nobody else can do it for you. But the reward you get for kind of honing in on that is it can tenfold in all areas of your life.
Yep. And that leads me into my question for you, Keith, is like, when obviously you're super passionate about your personal fitness, your personal diet. I mean, your businesses definitely represent that. Your own physical self, like you are a fit dude. Like when I first came up here in the driveway, and I haven't seen you in a while, and I see you and I'm like, man, this joker's freaking strong, man. Like you don't just get that way by just kind of piddling around.
Right. Yeah.
When did you realize that was going to be a big part of your life? And like, when did that become super important to you?
16 years old. I was at my first like party, teenager party, bonfire, girls. And like I said, I grew up kind of sheltered. Probably, I knew I shouldn't be at that party, but I noticed something pretty quick, that the girls wasn't hanging around me. So I learned then the world is mean. They judge you. I was 270 pounds, acne, and I grew up around my dad working out. So I had just made up my mind right then I was going to fix it.
So you were 270 at 16?
260, 270,
wow.
Acne. Yeah. And, it's just at that point, I remember eating a whole box of Fruity Pebbles most mornings in front of the kitchen TV, watching Saved by the Bell. That was most of my mornings, and just sedentary. And, 260, 270, and started working out with my dad's weights out in his old shack out back, 8-track player, Steve Miller Band.
Yeah.
And started shedding off the weight, and I saw what that did for me personally, as far as confidence and obviously health and longevity and opportunities. We don't have enough time to go down the whole list of opportunities that presented, but I got picked up by a nutrition company at like 19 years old, and they sponsored me for about 2 years and flew me all over the country, and it just was awesome experience, meeting people and just seeing people that read my meal hacks and diet articles in the magazines back when people used to read magazines in the early 2000s, talking about how that was, changed their life and stuff like that. That's when I knew that I wanted fitness. I was bought in, and I was going to use that as a vehicle to not only keep myself on track, but help others. So it's kind of a nutshell version.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. I love that. It's funny to me too, man, to really become super passionate about anything. Like you have to experience both sides of it. Like being completely, the people who are most passionate about fitness and health are the people who have spent a time, had a period of their life where they were just a complete freaking wreck, dude. Just unhealthy, overweight.
Yeah.
Y'all think I'm passionate about fitness. I am not passionate about fitness in comparison, because I've never had a time in my life where I experienced what it was like to be unhealthy and overweight. And when you live a life to where you're able to see both sides of it, you become way, way, way more passionate about it.
And not only both sides, but in the middle, because
Yeah, man.
I tell people all the time, you know, a lot has happened from ages 16 to 40. You know, marriages, weight gain, complacency. Like there was times where I had to look at myself in the mirror and get my shit together.
Well, even just recently, you made a big transition in your physical body. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as I've known you, you've always looked like you were in shape. But I remember you posted some picture not long back,
Yeah.
and the transformation that you went through just this year, like
Yeah, and
I mean that was a huge one.
I need to do a better job of shining some light in that area, because I think that's the problem with the fitness industry is people are always putting out the flawless side of it, and it's not flawless. Like some of the your most dedicated gym rats have nights where they binge eat, you know, ice cream or chips. I have them. We're not perfect, but yet we don't post none of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the truth, man.
So
It's, I think it's a great point to bring up, because a lot of people, I think the thing that I'm probably most passionate about life is my faith. And the reason I'm so passionate about Christ and my faith, and why I'm so outspoken about it, and why it's such a big part of me and the things I talk about and the things I dwell on, is because I've seen both sides. I've lived a life where I was just a straight up heathen, son.
you didn't grow up in church, like, you know,
We
every
grew-
time the doors were open, you were there as
No.
a kid from a baby. That wasn't your.
No. It's like you're exposed if you grow up in the South, you're exposed to church, you're exposed to the gospel. There were periods of time in our life when we were kids where we would attend a church meeting on a regular basis, but it was always just kind of, I don't know, looking back on it, it was wishy-washy. And then when I got to the age where I could make my own decisions and start doing my own thing, I just went hard onto the heathen side, son.
That's a similar story. I was in church every time the doors were open from a baby. I mean, Wednesday nights, Sunday mornings, Sunday evenings. This is Baptist church, little, maybe 100 people on Sunday morning, small, you know, and all the way up until my teenage years, up until I started driving. And then, you know, I haven't really been back involved with, you know, the modern church since then. I don't know if I will say there was some things that happened that I started recognizing things as I got older that I didn't feel was right, as far as some churches being a little bit too commercialized, and I just don't know if I got kind of scarred or burned from some stuff that happened, but maybe one of these days I'll get plugged back in with a daily trip to the building.
Yeah. Well, that's not required, because people ask us. People ask me all the time.
Yeah, come visit us. Come.
Yeah. Well, and people ask me all the time, like, what church do you go to? And then when I tell them, like, I don't attend a local congregation, and then I actually have people even try to shame me for that, and I'm like,
and that's how my family is.
yeah, it's like. Well, no, what it is we have gotten our perception of what the church is completely out of whack. The church here on earth is the body of Christ that is spread across the entire earth. It's not a building. Now, should believers in Christ meet together? Yeah, we should meet together. We do that every Sunday night. Right? We do on Resurrected. We do that every Sunday night. We come together as believers to discuss God's word, to pray together, to have conversation both ways. And I'm not anti congregation.
No,
but I do think we've skewed our perspective on what the word church actually means. Church is the body of believers. You can't go to it. You can't go to something that is. Like it is. It's alive. It's a living organism spread across the face of the earth. It's not a place where we go. You know?
You know how you mentioned earlier that you pointed out that it's probably a good quality to even have. I have that awareness to know that I need to be a better brother or a mom or a son. Same thing with the spiritual side. Like I have that awareness to know when I need to lean into that, and it doesn't require me to go to a 4-wall building every Sunday and put money in a plate to put a check mark in that box.
Yeah. I think the value to me in this part of the conversation is in terms of having the life experience, having the experience of life where you got to experience both sides of things, like whether that's in your fitness, your faith, even in your financial life. How much more do you appreciate getting to that point where you have some extra?
Well,
if you live through a period of your life where it was like you didn't have any extra, none.
Man, it was just 4 years ago I was pawning my truck title.
Yep.
Because I had just emptied my piggy bank to put a down payment on ownership of Spartan, knowing I wouldn't be able to make a penny for years. It was slow season for stump grinding, and I still had to pay my guy and pay the loan payment on the machine. So off to the title pawn we go.
Yep. And so I think what happens is we if it's physical, right, and we've lived a life where we experience, like you have, both sides, being 270 pounds with acne at age 16 to now being a physical specimen. I think what can happen is we can just try to, like, in our own minds, like, bury that other side that of our lives, or that time of our lives where we didn't have any faith and we were just straight up freaking heathens, or we were fat and out of shape, or we were struggling to just pay for our basic necessities, or we made bad financial decisions and got ourselves in a hole.
Yeah.
Like, we can try to bury the memory of those times, and instead of, like, appreciating them for what they are. Like, it's those times that allow you to enjoy and really be passionate about and really be thankful for the times that you're experiencing now. So I think we can either try to bury those, or we can still try to carry around the shame that, is caused by the time when we were fat, the time when we were stupid, the time when we were heathens. Like, we can try to carry around that shame. It's like, no, man. The hard crap that you've been through, the hard crap, the stupid stuff you've done, all that stuff is, you should be thankful for those times, because those times, it gives contrast, right? It contrasts things.
And it gives, and I think a good title for this episode could be really hope. The word hope comes up a lot. Like, being that we've been through all that, it gives us hope for when we do encounter other hardships, whether it's relationships, financially, business wise. So, and that's why I think me and you, we've encountered that hope, and we see that in other people, but they don't yet.
Yep.
And we just want to, like I said, I keep saying the visual shaking people. Say, man, it can be better.
And that's the truth.
This ain't life, man. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Just getting them to see what's true.
Yeah. Like that word hope. Yeah. Like, if I had to dump it into one word, that's why I do what I do, is I want people to have hope of being able to achieve a higher quality of life, mentally, physically, spiritually, all that stuff.
Yep. Good stuff, man. I want to ask you here, Keith, while we have you on, because I know you have really studied and honed in on both the nutrition and also the physical part, and that's such a big part of your mission. I just want to ask you, like, simply, what advice would you give to people who are right now the 16-year-old version of yourself, and maybe they're 40 or maybe they're 50, but they're overweight. They don't have the confidence they want. They're not able to do the things they want. Like what advice would you give them on, like, how do they even start that journey, man?
Biggest thing is just starting, because so many people they either don't start, because there's people that literally won't join a gym until they lose a certain amount of weight. It's sad. I see that a lot. That comes up a lot.
Do you really?
People will not. They think they've got to lose 40 or 50 pounds before they can even go be accepted by the general public at a gym.
Man,
there's so much pressure on themselves.
See, I don't see that. Yeah. I because I'm not in the space you're in. You know?
So, and I get it. So if that's you, then just move. The body is meant to move. So the easiest thing is walking. So, get you a cheap Fitbit and, track how much movement you're getting in per day. Every human, if you're capable, should be getting in 7,500 steps per day minimum, absolute minimum, because there's a lot of people that I work with, believe it or not. These people are 300 plus pounds. They literally walk from their house to their car, drive from their house to work, walk into work, and then just do that same process to get home. And they're less than 1,000 steps a day.
Wow.
I'm like, we got to get moving more, So 7,500 steps, what does that look like? So a mile has 2,000 steps. So a mile can take you around 20 minutes to walk, give or take. I don't care if it's on your lunch break. I don't care if it's split up into 2 or 3 walks. Call them movement snacks. I got that word from Lindsay Belcase, by the way. Mm-hmm. She called them movement snacks. So get you some movement snacks. Instead of reaching for the Doritos, go for a walk. And just get some movement in. Just that alone, you could probably knock off, 5 pounds the first month. Seriously, just that one change, man. And use it as a time to just be out in nature. Throw you on some headphones, listen to a podcast, like multitask. Listen to something that's going to make you laugh, learn, multitask. I call it double win. You're moving and you're learning, being inspired. That's a great way to do that. And then the whole diet thing, man, like
that's a big one. This is a big one.
Yeah,
man.
and I always say just so much out there, dude. If I was a newbie right now, I would be so overwhelmed, because you got carnivore diet, you got keto, got intermittent fasting, you got low carb. And there's a lot of information out there, and they're all what I call vehicles and tools. And there's nothing really wrong with either one of them, but just know that not any of them is the end all be all. You just got to find which one is sustainable for you. So if you want to use keto as a way to kickstart your journey, then that's fine. But just know that you're going to have to, at some point, find a happy medium, because at some point you're going to want to have carbs again. And there's nothing, and to me, honestly, I'm not a fan of keto, because I like fruit. I like sweet potatoes and potatoes. As a matter of fact, me and my girlfriend, we slice up red potatoes every night and bake them in the oven. Huge lover of carbs. But I always call it low-hanging fruit. Just take care of the low-hanging fruit at first. If you got 100 pounds to lose, or even 50, low-hanging fruit is like just stopping the liquid sugars. Man, like a large sweet tea at Chili's or McDonald's is going to have 300 or 400 calories and close to 100 grams of sugar.
Jeez.
I mean, that right there, if you're having that every day, that's adding up to massive amounts of body fat. If you just changed up what you drank, you could knock off, like, honest God truth. If you're listening to this, and if you just started getting in more steps and changed up what you drank, and that's all you did, I'm talking about, you still got your burger, you just changed up your beverage, you would probably lose 10 pounds the first month, 10 pounds of sheer body fat off your frame. So just low-hanging fruit like sugars. And then, just being more aware of how much calories and stuff. Like, people don't realize, like, the most humans, if I had to put like one number on it, can probably get by around 2,000 calories a day, give or take. Mm-hmm. All right. Most people, they're already over 3,000 by lunch. Most Americans. By the time you go through Chick-fil-A or Bojangles or Starbucks, and then by the time you go get something at lunch for the coworkers, most people are already at 3,000 calories per day. So, and you can change it up if you still want to go to a restaurant. Like, I use Chick-fil-A a lot because they're so popular and they're usually pretty widespread across the country. They have a thing called an egg white grill. You can double up on the egg whites. You can request that. Just go through the drive-through, get you a Coke Zero or a half and half sweet, unsweet tea. Say you want an egg white grill with 2 egg whites added to it, and that's going to give you 40 grams of protein and right at 360 calories. Huge hack right there. That you can still have your Chick-fil-A fix, but it's going to be a lot less calories than say your typical biscuit.
Yeah.
So
I think that's key, man. That advice is key because, again, it goes back to the same old stuff, dude. The reason people don't ever make any progress is because they get overwhelmed because they feel like they have to change their entire freaking way they eat, shop,
it's
everything all at once, and that if they don't do that, then it's not going to produce any results.
And just know it's a numbers game. Yeah, and you're right, man. That's why people fail, because they go from eating everything under the sun to trying to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice. That's not gonna be sustainable, man.
Yep.
So if you're truly a person that has been utilizing restaurants and fast food most of your life, the best thing you can do is just change up what you're ordering and just use that as a baby step. I'm not saying I'm at some point I would like to see you graduate to not ordering fast food every meal, but that doesn't have to be the first step.
Yep.
First step could just be, let's get in some more movement. Let's cut back a little bit on the liquid sugars, and let's just change up what I'm ordering. And technology is beautiful, man. Like, you can pull up the Chick-fil-A app and literally build your own sandwich right in front of you, and it updates the calories and nutrition. So to break this down, to keep it simple, try to keep, for your meals, try to keep most of your meals around 500 or 600 calories and your snacks around 350-ish. That gives you a good kind of guideline through the day. So whether you go to Chili's, whether you're ordering at a restaurant, just know you need to keep each meal around 500 or 600 calories. And then if you want a snack, keep it around 250, 300. And that would put you on track to be around that 2,000-ish calories per day, which if you're a really overweight person will be a good deficit for you to lose some weight.
Yep.
Females, keep them around 400 calories per meal, around 200 calories a snack. So it don't matter if you go to Chick-fil-A, Chili's, smoothie shop, just keep those numbers in your mind and don't look at food as good or bad. Just look at it as calories and fuel, and just use that whole concept as a baby step to get the ball rolling. And later on, like I said, I would like to see you get to a point where fast food's not part of your daily life, but don't worry about that right now.
Yep. Man, that's good advice, dude. The reason I'm so thankful that we can have people like you on to give advice like that is because I don't know, man. I'm at a place personally where it's hard for me to give advice like that, because if you ask me, like, what do I need to do to start? I'm yelling at people all the time about being fat, man. And it resonates with some people. It helps some people. But then if that same person that's like, Chad, you know what? You're right. I'm freaking a lump of crap right now. What do I need to do?
Right, yeah.
My advice would be like, well, just eat all whole foods and eat until you're full and don't eat anymore. Like, I don't snack. And I only eat until I'm full.
Right.
And I don't look at food as I have no problem. I have no issues with this relationship. I have no relationship with food. I have no mental, emotional attachment with food whatsoever. It's just, I know this has the things that my body needs to run on it. And as a matter of fact, I probably don't even eat enough. You know what I eat every day? I eat 4 eggs in the morning with a handful of ground beef in it, 2 pieces of toast. I don't snack at all. I eat a smoothie for lunch, and then I eat a steak for dinner with a little bit of rice or a sweet potato or something like that. Like, that's all. I don't ever snack, and I don't ever eat anything out of a package, a wrapper, unless I'm out here racing or doing a long run and I need some quick sugary fuel. But that to me is just like, Why are you having such a hard time with that? What are you talking about? A snack, man?
Well, you got people that were raised, and I ask these people these questions not because I want to like judge them, but I tell them this up front. I'm just doing it more for data collecting and learning the psychology and the behaviors of people and humans. And most of the time, when you got somebody that's really overweight, they grew up around parents that were very sedentary, that were doing nothing but microwave dinners, takeout pizzas, buffets every evening with the family.
Salisbury steak.
And that TV dinner, son.
Yeah, Salisbury steak, boy.
They had never even like cooked anything in their life, like not even a chicken breast. They don't even know what just a chicken breast or rice or sweet potato tastes like, or green beans, not unless it's like smothered in cheese.
God forbid an avocado.
Right. So when they get into their 20s and 30s and they're 100 pounds overweight and they hire somebody like me, I've learned you got to meet them where they are.
Man,
you can't just. It's so easy for people like me and you to just say eat whole foods. I call them Jesus foods. That's how because a lot of times people don't know what whole foods are.
Yeah.
So I always say, hey, if it was around back in Jesus' time, it's a real food. You know, if Jesus had access to it, which it usually comes from an animal, plant, ground, or a tree, then it's good. But you take a person that has never had any foods like that in their entire life, they honestly don't like the way it tastes, because when you take a kid that has been eating nothing but McDonald's Happy Meals and juice boxes, that did nothing but prime their taste buds to only expect a fireworks show of dopamine hit every time they eat.
Yep.
So if they've got used to that, super highly palatable foods. So when you take that person that's now in their mid-20s and 30s that's 350 plus pounds and ask them to eat sweet potato and rice and chicken, they truly don't like the way it tastes.
I can't imagine what that probably tastes like to them.
Gosh, it's probably like I don't know.
It's got to be like so bland.
And that's the problem with humans, man. We're so used to swinging through, and I'll tell this story about the Chick-fil-A. I had went years without having just a regular chicken sandwich. I always got like, if I did anything at Chick-fil-A, it was always like when I was in a pinch for I would get a Cool Wrap. And for you Chick-fil-A lovers about the Cool Wrap comes stock with a packet of dressing called avocado lime ranch dressing. Get this, the packet of dressing has more calories in it than the actual wrap. So a lot of times people will get the Cool Wrap thinking they're being healthy, but they'll squeeze that dressing all over it. I'm like, no, keep the dressing off. Just get you some like hot sauce and call it good. But no, I had ordered me. I was feeling a little bit, I don't know, just craving something bad. What do you want to call it? I ordered me a chicken sandwich, and that thing came in a nice warm full packet. Take it out, the bun's all toasted and buttery. I took a bite into it, and I swear to God, I've never been hooked on like drugs or like cocaine, but I think that's probably what it felt like. Yeah. The dopamine that flooded my body and the taste buds just off that MSG, all the preservatives, all the taste good chemicals, man, it just flooded my system to where it messed with me for a few days. I was craving that, man. I'd be waking up at night thinking about a chicken sandwich. Yep. So this is what people are eating every day, going through restaurants. And that's the thing is like, I can take a chicken sandwich and put it on a kitchen plate, and it'd just be sitting there all lonely in the middle. And that chicken sandwich is 400 calories. A lot went into that chicken sandwich to make it, like all kind of chemicals, preservatives. I think there's 60-something odd ingredients in a Chick-fil-A sandwich, believe it or not. But most people see it as a bun, piece of chicken, and a pickle. Mm-hmm. There's like 60-something ingredients by the time they got it from wherever their factory is to the processing it to you and all the seasonings. So that's 400 calories. And most of the time, that chicken sandwich is not going to fill you up. You're going to want something else.
It don't fill you up.
It don't. Like, that's why you got to get your waffle fries and everything else. Or you can take 10 minutes out of your time, throw some chicken tenders in the air fryer, steam you some broccoli in a microwavable bag, throw you a sweet potato in the microwave. That whole kitchen plate's going to be overflowing with stuff. Same amount of calories, but more volume and more nutritious.
Wow. Yeah.
Huge like visual. I'm actually going to do that one day for a little video on the gram, just to show people that the difference from a volume standpoint, calorie, and a micronutrient standpoint. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Dang it, man. That's good stuff, brother. Yeah. That's good stuff, man. It's like I say, that's the side that I don't take the time to express or remember. To me, to
throw in some of the stuff that you like, the whole foods. As a beginner, if you just got in more steps, 7,500 minimum per day, eventually shoot for 10, get you a cheap Fitbit, just start being aware of your movement. That's the first thing. And then start being aware of the calories. Or if you just strategically tell yourself you're going to work in 5 Jesus foods per day, I don't care what other parts of your diet look like, make sure you get in 5 per day. So if you're winding down in the evening, I want you to think back that I have 5 Jesus foods today. You know, if you just did that, that's going to work in some highly nutritious foods to where you're giving your body some good nutrition to where you might not crave that milkshake.
Yep.
You know, because you're going to be so full off the fiber in an apple or a sweet potato.
Yep.
Or broccoli or oats.
I think that's why I don't snack.
Right.
I think that's why I don't snack. It's because everything that I'm eating is straight, usually straight from the garden or straight from my chicken's butt or,
there you go.
You know, straight from, I'm gathering it out of my front yard.
Yeah, berries. I tell people if you're in the evening and you're craving something, you're like contemplating whether or not you want to grab the Ben & Jerry's ice cream or whatever, get you a big old bowl full of berries, man. Like blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. It don't matter if they're frozen. Throw you a little bit of whipped cream on there, Cool Whip. That whole bowl of berries is going to fill you up and only be like 200 calories.
Dude, my wife started doing that recently.
It's insane, man.
What she does is she takes a banana and cuts it up, takes a handful of nuts, usually like walnuts or something.
Yeah.
Throws it on there. Does a big spoonful of Icelandic yogurt or Greek yogurt.
Yep.
And then some cinnamon. And she stirs that up, dude. And so I told you guys I only eat Whole Foods. I lied, actually. I love ice cream. Okay, this is one thing that I do eat from a package is, dude, I'm an ice cream guy.
Same here, man.
All right? There have been multiple occasions where I've been out of ice cream and I'm craving my daggone ice cream of an evening. And I'm like, well, crap, I just want something to like finish after dinner, you know?
Yeah,
and so I'm like, Brooke calls it banana surprise. I'm like, make me one of them banana surprises.
Good.
I eat that dang thing, dude, and it's more satisfying than eating the bowl of ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a banana, yogurt, a handful of nuts, and cinnamon. It's insane.
Yeah, Greek yogurt. They Oikos. There's these vanilla yogurt cups made by a company called Ratio. Some of the most smoothest, best tasting vanilla you'll ever have in your life. And they're in the little individual cups. You peel the lid back. 25 grams of protein. It's the most smoothest vanilla, and they make them in other flavors too. But yeah, like you said, you get that, crush some walnuts on there, put some banana slices in, some blueberries. Man, you're golden.
It is. It's a really good alternative.
I love food, and I've 20 years in, I've found a really good way to balance, making sure I'm getting in all my whole foods from a micronutrient standpoint. But most of my dinners are my own flatbread pizza creations and my own ice cream that I make in my Ninja Creamy. So I got a shirt that says, ask me how to get shredded off pizza and ice cream. And it's legit. Most of my male clients they love the flatbread pizzas and ice cream recipe.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds good, man.
But I'm making sure they're hitting all their other marks too, you know, making sure they're getting in their fruit, their greens. We got check marks and all those. Then have you some pizza and ice cream.
So you actually take on clients to work through this?
Yes.
Process.
Online coaching.
I did not know that you were doing that, man.
It's a new endeavor I started in March. Same, like I told you, I want to be able to reach more people, and we have a lot of in-person consultations that happen at the smoothie shop, but I wanted to help people remotely. So I knew that building an online nutrition program would be the best way to scale that and help more people. So for the longest time, I was still attracting local people. I was like, no, the whole point of this was to get people. But, you know, I took them on and helped them. Finally, like month number 4, I landed a guy in Texas. Now I'm working with a guy out in like Nevada area. So it's slowly his tentacles are starting to spread a little bit.
Dude, I love that you're doing that. And I love that you came on the podcast, man, because I think it's really good for a podcast where I'm always yelling at people for being fat and out of shape to then have you on and saying, all right, guys, I've been there, man. I'm passionate about this, and I got a resource that you can lean into.
Yeah.
If you're in that spot, dude. So you guys listening, if you're in that spot, you need to reach out to Keith. And the thing about it is, man, a lot of people also can say, I'm just going to try to do this by myself.
Most males would say that.
Yeah, that's what everybody's thinking.
60, I think it's been a while since I crunched the numbers. 65% of my client base currently is females, because females can drop their ego and ask for help, to whereas mostly males have a harder time doing that.
Yep. And the true answer is yes, there will be a time that you will start doing this by yourself. I'm sure, Keith, your main objective with these individuals you work with, I'm sure it's probably to work yourself out of a job.
My goal is to teach them how to make this a lifestyle, not just another 12-week challenge.
Yep.
That's what I tell people. This is not, a get skinny crash course diet plan. This is where I spend a lot of time teaching you and guiding you over a course of 12 to 16 weeks on how to make this stick for the long haul.
Yep. So that would be ultimate success for you with these types of clients, is to see them make these changes, to relearn, to educate them to the point that they don't need you anymore.
Nope.
That is just part of that to me would be the ultimate reward, doing the job that you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, I can really resonate with that.
It's awesome, especially when it spills over into the family. Like when they post, we have a little online community where they'll post their kids having some of the same protein waffles.
Man, come on, dude.
Stuff like that, and the whole family dynamic is starting to kind of change for the better. That's why I do what I do. That's what keeps me going,
dude. It freaking hurts my heart when we went to the fair the other day in Polk County. All right, Polk County. You know where Polk County is?
Oh, Cedartown?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we went to the fair in Cedartown. To see the amount of obesity
I know, man.
in children.
It's bad.
Okay, I can look at an adult and I can kind of get over it.
Right.
Because an adult, you have resources, ultimately you have control. Or you can gain control if you choose to make that commitment.
Yep.
But the amount of obesity in these children, man, was astounding. I was literally seeing, not just one or two. I was witnessing dozens and dozens of kids, 4 years old, that were so fat they looked disfigured.
And that's going to be a constant generational thing until somebody breaks it. And why can't that be you, listeners? Why can't you just be the one that says, I know what I'm feeling like, it sucks, do I really want my child to grow up and feel this way? Why can't you be the one to man up or woman up and break that generational curse, or that pattern? Let's be the one.
Yeah. Where can people find you and reach out to you for that?
So Instagram, the Keith Ozment is my Instagram handle, and I'm working on a website right now. It's not live yet. It's been a process to get all the videos uploaded, because my goal was I got to basically animate me and multiply me to where I can help more people on a even larger platform. So we're gonna have courses you can buy and see me speaking eventually. Mm-hmm. But the best place to reach me right now is the Keith Ozment, KeithOzment on Instagram, or you can look up all the Spartan Smoothies Rome, or Facebook, Keith Ozment. And from that point, if you're interested in any kind of private online coaching, I just fill you a little intake form, kind of application type deal. Make sure you're the right fit, because I might not be the coach for everybody, but I want to make sure I'm working with a person that's truly ready to make the move for massive action. Because I did $50 diet plans for years. I did $100 challenges for years, but a lot of those people stayed stuck. So this is much more than that.
Yep. And what's your podcast called?
Omni Wellness Studio.
Okay.
Yep.
Where can people find it?
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube.
I can't wait to start listening, man.
So it's OMNI Omni Wellness Studio, and me and my girlfriend, we kind of tag team it. She'll be on there with some female guests, and sometimes me and her together, and sometimes she'll be solo, I'll be solo. We kind of tag team it, but it's everything: life, business, fitness, nutrition, entrepreneurship. There's been athletes on there. There's been cancer survivors on there. There's been, investors, real estate gurus, people that's lost 300 pounds on there, people that's anorexic and has had to gain, weight. So that's kind of the blend of episodes you'll get.
I like it, man.
Tuning into that.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, brother, thank you so much for your time today, man. That was a good conversation.
Chad, Blake, I appreciate y'all inviting me, man.
That was
huge.
Well, we got to cover the whole "Does Success Make You Soft" thing, I think, in depth, and obviously that's been something I've been thinking about and trying to just meal about in my mind and put some sense to it. So it was great just to have that conversation, just to get it out there and to talk through all the aspects of that, man.
It was good, and I think you're right. I think if we're truly wired, which I know you're wired this way, and I know I'm wired this way, I don't think we'll ever get complacent. I think we're too hard on ourselves at times, but I think it's always going to be in us to keep leveling up a notch.
Yep.
It's just in our blood.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we won't be going live tomorrow on YouTube, by the way. This is your live episode for the week. We appreciate you guys joining us, man. I love you guys, and always thankful that you tune in, that you watch, that you listen. We couldn't have a podcast or a YouTube channel or any of that stuff without you guys that make it what it is. So just want to express my gratitude for each and every one of you. And Lord willing, we'll see you next week.
See y'all later.
Nuff said.